weekend I did what many other people did. I went to go see the new Barbie movie and I absolutely loved it, and I just knew I had to make a video somehow tying my interests together. So today I'm going to be giving you book recommendations for Weird Barbie. If you've seen the Barbie movie, you know what I'm talking about. And even if you haven't seen the Barbie movie, you're gonna know what I'm talking about if you know anything about Barbies and dolls. Weird Barbie is what happens to the dolls who get played with a little bit too much, who children roughhouse with, the dolls that you experiment with your hair cutting skills on, the ones where you try to apply makeup on them with your various markers, and the ones that look like they basically got ran over by a truck. Weird Barbie was played by Kate McKinnon in the film, and she did an excellent job portraying this character. And today I thought it would be fun, since I don't have recommendations for the stereotypical Barbie. I'm not really a romance reader, which I feel like is what's going to fall in a lot of those recommendations, or contemporary books about femininity and womanhood. I don't read a lot of contemporary literature and romance, but I do read a lot of weird things that I think a weird Barbie would enjoy. So if you like weird books that also sometimes have themes of womanhood and femininity in them, you are in the right spot. I have a couple book recommendations for you today, and we will go ahead and jump right in. The first book recommendation I have is Maeve Fly by C.J. Lead. Part of the story of the Barbie film and what it has to say about womanhood is around the concept of identity, trying to figure out who you are in the world around you. And that is certainly a theme for Maeve Fly. This book's main character is named just as the title. Her name is Maeve Fly, and she basically works at Disneyland as an Elsa princess. It does not explicitly say that, probably for copyright reasons, but she's a nice princess at an amusement park. She plays Elsa, and she is going through some difficult times in her life, trying to find her place in this world, and she ends up taking a dark path after meeting this man and fully just following her urges in life. This book describes itself as a provocative debut that is both a blood-soaked love letter to LA and a gleeful send-up of iconic horror villains. This is a disturbing book. There are some very graphic scenes involving animals and sexual violence and gore, so if that is not up your alley, then I highly suggest staying away from this one. But if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, it is a book I would definitely recommend to a weird Barbie. Next up is Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen. This is a story that's following a cast of women who are competing on a reality dating show called The Catch. It's pretty much a rendition of The Bachelor, and while they are down to the final 4 contestants, they take them on a vacation to the Pacific Northwest, to this little island area, and while it starts with them competing for love or fame, it ends with them competing for their lives, because there is a Bigfoot type creature named Patricia who makes an appearance and really just wants to find people to pay attention to her. This book describes itself as a whirlwind romp careening toward a last girl standing conclusion and a scathing indictment of contemporary American media culture. Patricia Wants to Cuddle is also a love story between star-crossed lesbians who rise above their intolerant town, a deeply ambivalent woman and her budding self-actualization, and a group of misfit islanders forging community against all odds. The themes of self-actualization and being a misfit and finding your place in society all match with the Weird Barbie aesthetic, and it's just a really weird, unique book that I think will be a fun time. Next up is a bit of a darker one, and that is Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. This book was translated by Sarah Booker, and this is a story about some young women who get themselves into some interesting circumstances. This is probably one of the weirdest books I've ever read and one of the most difficult books to explain. I actually read this as a buddy read for my 24-hour horror-a-thon a couple of months ago, which if you don't know, it's a bi-monthly read-a-thon that I host here on YouTube. And I read this book live. I don't think I read the whole thing, but I read a good bit of it live in a live show on YouTube, and the video is still live. So if you'd like to go see mine and my co-host thoughts as we were reading it, you could check that out. But it is just very, very bizarre, weird to piece together. And you're following a couple different characters in a couple different circumstances, but essentially there are these 2 teen girls, Fernanda and Annalise, who are friends, and then they go through some circumstances together. They find this place, they're doing these rituals, but then one of them ends up getting taken and tied up in the cabin of one of their teachers, and you're also following the teacher's perspective, and she's got this weird thing with imitating her dead mother. And in general, the book is just kind of a mishmash of a lot of things, like a patchwork quilt of a lot of different things. It says it interweaves pop culture references and horror horror concepts drawn from Herman Melville, H.P. Lovecraft, and anonymous creepypastas. It's an ominous, multivocal novel that explores the terror inherent in the pure potentiality of adolescence and the fine line between desire and fear. Next up is a little bit less of a weird one. If you're looking for something that is a little bit Weird Barbie, but not super, super Weird Barbie. I love how we're just using Weird Barbie as this like adjective now, but it is a series, and that is the Wayward Children series by Shannon McGuire. This is not the complete series. There are more books out than this, but I just grabbed a couple off of my shelves. The first one in the series is Every Heart a Doorway, and you can read these in order, or you don't have to necessarily read all of them in order, but I do recommend reading them in order, which is what I have done. And these are small little novellas that are telling these stories about these children who find themselves going through portals to different worlds. Each story kind of follows a different character, a different world, a different quest that's happening. Sometimes you'll see characters repeat throughout the series. Sometimes you're introduced to new characters in a book, but overall the series is exploring this idea of adolescence and identity and making a place in this world and accepting yourself for who you are and found family. And it's a really endearing, whimsical series that is heartwarming and nostalgic and wonderful and magical and all of the things. So if you're looking for a little bit of a lighter Weird Barbie type of read, I highly recommend checking these books out. They are all a guaranteed great time. Next up is Bunny by Mona Awad. This is a pretty well-known, really bizarre book about this woman named Samantha who is in an MFA program, and there is this clique of girls that are also in her program who all call each other Bunny affectionately. They are very much an us versus them mentality, but Samantha ends up getting an invitation to join them for their smut salon, which is this little event they put together. And when she joins, she realizes there are some really strange things going on with this friend group. This is a very hypnotic fever dream type of book, so if you want to feel like you're really taken on a weird journey, this is the one that I would recommend. There are a lot of themes about womanhood, femininity, social groups, how men and women fit together in society, and it's overall just a really weird time. And lastly is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is a young adult horror book that is about these three sisters who have always been a little bit weird ever since they went missing when they were younger. One day they just completely vanished in the street, nowhere to be found, and then eventually they returned, but when they did not come back the same. Their eyes turned black, their hair turned white, they've got scars, and now they are being followed by these weird people kind of everywhere they go. Fast forward a few years later, and one of the sisters goes missing again, and the other two sisters come together to try to go find and save their sister. Again, it's a story about identity and coming of age and sisterhood, and it's also just a story with some really weird things going on, which I think would be really fun if you're looking for books that fit this Weird Barbie concept. So that's it for all of my book recommendations for a Weird Barbie. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any additional recommendations that I did not mention here today, or let me know if you're planning on picking up any of the books I mentioned. And also you can let me know if you've seen the Barbie movie and what you think of it, because I just find it really fun to talk about. I think it was a really well done film. It had some difficult shoes to fill by being a concept that was working with Mattel, and of course you can only go so far and say so much, but I think it's opening up really great conversations, and I would just love to hear what you thought about it as well. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!